Morning, everybody. All meeting in order for today. Ken, do you want to read the disclaimer?
This is a reminder that board members, staff, and guests, members of the public are advised that the SCRCA special meeting and authority board meetings are being video and audio recorded and will be live streamed and posted to the authority's YouTube channel along with the official written minutes. As such, comments and opinions expressed may be published, and any comments expressed by individual board members, guests, and the general public are their own and do not represent the opinions or comments of the full authority and or the SCRCA board of directors. Recording video of the full authority meeting is not considered the official record of that meeting. The official record of the authority meeting shall consist solely of the minutes approved by the board of directors.
Thanks, sir. Kristen will now read the land acknowledgement.
The St. Clair Region Conservation Authority acknowledges that its watershed is part of the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Luna, Pewak, and Shawantan nations, who have a sacred responsibility to preserve the land and water of southwestern Ontario. The SCRCA acknowledges the treaties that allow us to work alongside the First Nation communities of Kettle and Stony Point, Aamjiwnaang, and Mi'kmaq to ensure we share the responsibility of preserving the land and water.
Thank you. Under Chair's remarks, I just want to acknowledge the foundation and the conservation staff and our foundation chair Duncan for the scholarship presentations that we did recently. They went well. Thank you to the students for being committed to conservation. It was wonderful. Ken and I are attending the Conservation Ontario meeting on Monday in Toronto. We're hoping that the minister will be joining us, but no guarantee. We're hoping they will be in attendance. And just a reminder, everybody, that the Memorial Forest dedication will be happening Sunday, September 28th at the Henderson Conservation Authority. So we go into pecuniary interest. Item 3 is request that each member declare a conflict of interest at the appropriate time on any item within this agenda, and that a director may have pecuniary interest. Move on to adoption of the agenda. Negative mover, Betty Ann and Frank. The motion is that the board of directors adopts the agenda for the meeting as presented. Anyone opposed? Seeing none. But we have no presentations or delegations. So we're looking towards the minutes. Looking for a mover or seconder to approve the minutes from our meeting of June 26th. Harry Burrell, Steve Miller, thank you. Anyone opposed? Any questions on the minutes? Seeing none, thank you. Note 6.2 that the minutes of the executive committee meeting held July 31st be approved as distributed. Mover seconder Frank and Jerry. Thank you. Any questions? Anyone opposed? Brilliant, that's carried. Seven point one, we have reports. No manager's report. Want to highlight them, Ken, or
Just probably the most important thing is the first paragraph with regard to change the province made at the end of June with the appointment of the chief conservation executive / deputy minister. We have literally no information what this person's job is, what their mandate is. We're hoping to get clarification on Monday. We're hoping Mr. Bassett comes if the minister is going to become Conservation Ontario on Monday. He has worked for CAs, so he's more than familiar with what we do, but we literally don't know why the province would hire this position for a group that receives $3 million in funding a year from the province. 11. So they've hired a deputy minister specifically to look after us. So we're not sure what this means or what impacts it will have. Or as I said to the executive committee, I expect something now within the next 60 days. But I really don't know what I can't. Unfortunately, I have nothing else to share with you on what this position involves. On the flip side, good news, sort of good news. Myself and a couple of staff attended the international plowing match in West Lincoln, in the big booming town of Grassy. Because Lambton County is hosting in 2027, so we just went to see what the Niagara Authority was doing for their presentation and setup and get some ideas about what we can do. We've already committed to participate in it, so we're just trying to we put on the best face we possibly can when we go to the event. So I did avoid the premier. He was there at the same time I was, so we didn't exchange any pleasantries, but it was all good nonetheless.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Then we're moving to seconder to acknowledge the GN report dated September 10th, 2025. Sue and Brad. Any opposed? Any questions? No, seeing none. Yeah, it's carried. 7.2 is the draft fee schedule. So the motion will be that we accept the recommended changes, approving the draft fee schedule as presented. We can move her. John and Frank, any questions? Right.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, again, it's just something in the future. We've done 7, 10, and 10. I'm kind of hoping we can bring that back down a little bit in the future. And I'm just wondering how long we can still get those 10% increases, that's all. Thank you.
Did you want
So we've, through Mr. Chair, we've reviewed all the local, we constantly review all the local, and we're still at the low market for most of them, so this is part of it. But we also have now begun discussions, keeping in mind we need about $1.5 million to upgrade the sewage system that's starting at Henderson. We have to do all the parks. So the first one we're looking at doing is Campbell. The estimate we have is 1.2 million, so the increased fees help to offset those costs.
Any other questions?
I guess, you know, I understand the need to do this because the costs keep going up, and if we don't do it this way, we gotta get the money somewhere else, and that means higher levies and all that kind of stuff. I'm just wondering, like use of the facilities, is that stay constant, or like, is there any fluctuation in the use, and does increasing the price seem to have any effect?
It hasn't yet, so we do have, still have a waiting list for most of our concert or camping areas. And in terms of use of the facilities, we're at capacity all summer, even the seasonal overnight sites are at capacity, so there hasn't been a decrease in business for this, simple said.
Any other questions on the fee schedule? I'm seeing none. Anyone opposed to the motion? Seeing none, okay, we'll carry that, thank you. 7.3 is the general levy estimate for 2025, and for moving, mover second, we receive for information and discussion. 2026, my apologies. Ian and Terry. Any questions? Go ahead.
This is, we're proposing an 8.1% increase. I appreciate all the pressures. Moving here, but, there's other recommended readings, and I assume there'll be one coming through Plimpton as well. Regarding keeping the costs attainable for the different municipalities who already face a lot of pressures themselves. That would be a tremendous increase compared to what municipal tax rates come in. So I don't know when that can try and look for some other savings there, or look at some things to help make this work.
Well, through the chair, the discussion we're having today is, this is the number that we have right now. If there's a target he wants to meet, we will definitely take that back and present that at the October meeting. But this is sort of where we are, and as it's called, summary of financial pressures. A lot of it is our station just completed. And brought to the executive committee and then use their recommendation in our filing. Some of the biggest challenges we face as well is just the complete inability to raise our fees for planning and regs. So just a reminder, that next year is 2026. Next year was supposed to have been the last year, 150% increase in regulation fees. And we haven't been able to do that. We've been frozen at zero for 4 years now, then we would be into year 5, next year, so that's creating a bigger challenge for us than what we initially anticipated, but obviously it's up to the discussion of the board for what percentage we would like to see us try and achieve, and we will try and do what we can, but this isn't the number we have.
Right?
Yeah, through the chair, yeah, I do have a concern, that, and again, I know you've got issues and pressures, so do our municipalities are caught with the same issues and pressure. I would still like to see something come down around that 3% if we could. Because it's a hard sell for me at council if we start to get over that, because again, I know you have pressures, we all have the pressures as well, thank you.
Right, Terry?
Basically, it is the same comments in terms of it is quite an increase when you put everything together. Over 8%. Now, I realize there are pressure. Is there any, the province is really pushing all this, is there any pressures within anywhere that is, getting the province to fund some of these things that they're. I know the province has been Mr. Mimi to the conservation authority over the last few years, but is there any light on the horizon at all?
Not that, sorry, through the chair, not that we've seen, we know. The topic of increasing provincial contributions to the authorities is still very taboo with the province. It's a non-starter, to be honest. So this is the challenge that all municipalities face as well. It's just, if we look at the premier's opinion on red light cameras and the benefits those provide, but he feels it's a tax credit. So anything we do would be viewed in the exact same light in terms of trying to get more money from people, so. But no, it is a constant discussion point with Conservation Ontario when they talk to the province, it just never goes anywhere, so. And this is, we're in the year of the 30th anniversary of the massive slash to conservation authorities from the province, so for those of you who aren't aware, 1995, slash conservation authority contributions from 40 million down to 7.6. And this is the 30th anniversary of that, and now we're down to 3. So this is unfortunately where we're at, and I don't foresee the province changing their stance anytime soon.
We're conservation authorities like in Ontario, which is kind of a unique thing. Wasn't it originally a conservative
Yes,
government?
yes.
Is that,
It doesn't seem this. So there's quite a detachment from the conservatives that form CAs. And if you look at the height of our affluence, I guess, for lack of a better term, during the late 60s, 70s into the early 80s, that conservative government is not viewed as being conservative by the current conservative government. So it's all just opinions and semantics at this point, but yeah, that point has been raised. We have had many discussions over the years. I've had many discussions over the years explaining to them, like, this is the one great contribution that the creation of the conservative government. And one of the most affluent periods under the conservative government, a lot of the work that we've done that have helped save Ontario tens of billions of dollars in damage from flooding was because of that decision, but it just falls on deaf ears, unfortunately.
Any online hands at all? Did I missed? No, okay. Don and then to Brad.
Thank you. I usually never ever look forward to a tax increase of any sort. But when I take a look at the final column, I really don't care that this may have translated into 8% when it's really less than 50 cents per resident, at least in Brook Elliston. That's pretty, freaking impressive. Excuse my friend, but there you go. The reality is, you're doing a pretty good job, and it's always the issue of we wanna keep, our taxes below a certain percentage. Last time I checked, you get to pick the numerator and the denominator and then multiply by 100. So you can make it any frickin' number you want to. So the reality of talking about percentage increase is really a mug game. And you're playing the press and your residents more than you're talking reality. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Brad?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, I know we talked about this before. Has staff looked at any areas maybe we can get out of? Or maybe we could get out of to save some money as far as reducing our costs? Just a thought to
So we
make
have-
that.
Through Mr. Chair, so we have reviewed all the programs and we have taken opportunities, for example, if we've had a staff person leave to look at that position, do we need to fill it, and in case we haven't. So that's sort of part of our internal process, but really everything we do is what we're required to do or have an agreement to do. And any of the bigger projects are all funded through grants, so have no impact on the levy. So the big challenge we have, as was pointed out, is the $1 million, what was at the time $1 million shortfall in category 1 programs. So those are the programs that we are required to do, provincially mandated to do. So I appreciate you were on board at the time when these changes were made. So what happened was the province decreed that there are certain activities that we have to do, are required to do. Those are category 1 programs. And in looking at the funding for that, we are $1 million short of where we're supposed to be. So these are, in their attempt to appease some municipalities, the province actually made it, in some senses, more challenging for municipalities because it added more costs to what they're supposed to be funding. So we had initially intended of this as 7.1%. Or sorry, 8.1% is 2%, that's or 3%. Sorry, there's a 1.5% that's dedicated to our asset management plan. We just finalized last year, so that's part of it. There's also, we talked about freezing it for this year to put those funds towards offsetting staff costs or the staff salary requests. Is we had a 2% increase every year to try and get that $1 million short. Like we could have doubled the levy in a year, which was not feasible. But that's sort of the tack we took, was there's going to be this dedicated 3.5% every year dedicated to asset management and making up that shortfall. So that's that chunk of the budgets.
You, John Brennan?
Mr. Chair, it might be useful for the members of this board to have a one-pager generated by staff that would be useful for us in justifying the increases by our municipal areas. And points that might be included would be ones such as the raised by Ken, the long-term savings in billions of dollars as a result of flood control, that the concomitant savings that people have in insurance, private property as a result of this, people lose sight of these things. As well, the recreational value that was shown every day, I would argue, but especially during COVID. In terms of the amount of use of conservation areas during the lockdown, I would say our municipality was the most used facility for recreation. It allowed social distancing. It allowed a lot of mental health issues were addressed. Dog walkers, people said to me, they would have gone nuts if they hadn't had the trails and the conservation we could walk in. And especially the nature bath going in there and people with stress and mental health disorders. So for the dollars or 50 cents per person or whatever it happens to be, the value that is created in our communities by these conservation authorities, I think is often overlooked. We could also point out, as Ken said, also the massive decrease in provincial funding that has taken place over the last 30 years. So I think it might be useful for each part of board members to have just a one pager, 3 block paragraphs, and 2 points in each paragraph, so that we can just sort of remind councils and public that this is not some kind of bloated bureaucracy that exists just to employ civil servants. There are real rewarding benefits that happen all the time that we lose sight of. and we're getting the pennies on the dollar. I take a look at the amount of money that municipalities spend to have ice services and to have pools in order to have recreation. And we could do a comparison between that and what it costs to have our trails. The difference is huge. So, you know, a cost benefit thing might be helpful. So that's my comment. They might be useful for us when it comes to.
In budget times. Got rid of reporter, so
Yeah.
is that something? Kenny, you can.
We will have that prepared for October.
Okay.
Maybe it's called.
Okay.
Thank you. Just to follow up, I completely agree that it would be helpful. Although I have to say, probably not in our jurisdiction. Since we don't have those amenities through the conservation authority. And time period, they were not useful because they were in poor condition. So it might not be a hard sell for our jurisdiction. But when we're talking about percentages and 50 cents on the dollar, or 50 cents for every person, we also have to keep in mind that's how it's presented to the public. So, and it's also presented to the public in our municipal budgets. So that's what they see and understand. And when we're looking at larger increases for bigger populations and where there's a struggle municipally, whether you like it or not, 50 cents per person, you know, that could be going towards fire services. Hate to bring up that topic, but other things that there's a push and pull for municipally, and the downloading that's being reduced. It's unfortunate, but it's a reality that we can't keep downloading onto the municipal tax base because they're already facing those pressures municipally. So we have to be realistic in that sense, and I agree with Mayor Moosley, where because there is a new box that the province is presenting, we kind of have to keep in mind that that's the reality, the harsh reality, fortunately. And we can't keep expecting our municipal taxpayers to pick up those things.
Just respond. Of course, be at the discretion of each councillor to use the sheet in any way they wish. However, I think on balance, it would be useful to have the information when a discussion emerges at council. And everything you say as well, councils will make their decisions.
I just want to add to that, Mr. Chair, I think that's an excellent idea. So we've got that information in front of us to present to council. Thank you.
Just one more point, Mr. Chair, just a reminder to everybody, I will go to whatever council you need me to go to discuss my budget, so always keep that in mind. I'm not gonna leave you out there alone.
Single sheet of paper. So regarding the target, we've heard 3%, we've heard leave it as it is. Do we need a motion to where
We would just, Mr. Chair, would like to just we will revisit the budget to see if there's any potential opportunities to make reductions and then deliver that in October. Final number.
I think the sense I got was that we see value in what we do and we know that we have to keep covering our costs. At the same time, we're sensitive to the fact that an 8.1% increase in today's economy can come across as a little bit.
Yeah, that's correct.
But Frank?
Yeah, I just wanted to make the point, you know, we're talking about the services that the Conservation Authority provides, but I mean, we met this summer in the executive committee to look at salaries, and I mean, that's what the majority of the increase is here. And the fact was we were just uncompetitive with other conservation authorities and other municipalities, and we're losing staff to others, and we can't keep doing that as well. We need a staff here that's competent, and we have one, and we want to keep them. And so I think again, it's unfortunate these increases, but I think we want to keep good people. We have to pay them for regular service.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm okay with this motion. If the CEO is going to come back to something, so I'm okay with that.
Okay, any other questions or comments on this? Okay, seeing none, is anyone opposed to the motion? No, okay, that's carried. 7.4 is the hearing guidelines, and the motion that the board acknowledge the report dated September 18th regarding draft hearing guidelines and approve the draft hearing guidelines drafted in accordance with the recommended model guidelines provided by CO and further adopt the guidelines as presented. We have a mover, Ian, a seconder, Sue, and discussion. Okay.
Not to sound like a broken record, but, I just would like to see that this, pass, but with the wording of, and I'm sorry, I was trying to find the wording in there, that council members, must follow the municipal conflict of interest act. And not automatically remove. I still believe that this apprehension of bias creates bias. And everybody is bound by the municipal conflict of interest act, so I believe that should be worded clearly in there. And that would be on page, sorry, for everybody's reference, is it your page
It's in 3.1.
3.1? Page 8.
So can you dealt with our legal advice on this and drafted this, so you can comment on that?
Yeah, so just to clarify that point, we did have this discussion earlier at a previous board meeting, but in talking with. So Conservation Ontario has a specific lawyer that deals with hearings and hearing training. And this was a very strong recommendation, so we'll give an example, so this is not accusations about anything or anyone. It was at the last hearing we had. Both were voted for in terms of voted against staff recommendation, approved things. Now they were both in the same municipality. And so there could have been. Someone could, if something goes wrong in the legal perspective, somebody can say that they were, the board, the hearing committee was unduly influenced by a member of the board who represented that municipality and therefore forced them to do whatever. It's not true at all. I know it's not true, but I'm just saying that the appearance is there that that could happen. So that's why this sentence was put in.
I'm almost having heard of not taking offense.
Well, I didn't mean, yeah, I'm just stating that this is from a legal perspective, from the outside perspective. Someone could make that argument.
I'm one person of how many are in that room. I find it very hard to understand how anybody could believe that one person could influence 19 others in that room. And quite frankly, it was very good, both were very good debates, a lot of different opinions were brought to the table. So, I mean, I just don't see that, and quite frankly, I did talk to the integrity commissioner on this as well to get a good understanding. And they were completely against this recommendation, because we do have a municipal conflict of interest act.
Okay, yeah, Sue.
I agree with both, and I understand what Kristen's saying, but isn't in the big picture, this is a lawyer review, and these are the things that are expected to be in there. And so I think that's what it really is. It's coming from legal, oh no, you gotta have this, you gotta have that, and so.
Yeah, it's just, previous chair, we're just making sure we cover ourselves, but if it's a huge sticking point, we can remove that sentence,
It's like a little tiny loophole that somebody, if we vote against something and somebody wants to appeal it, could they use that as the little loophole to get their way in? And find something to, discredit the process or even though it's not true, or, that's just the thought.
and also just a reminder that we changed the structure of the committee, so it's no longer the entire board. So there's a much smaller number of people reviewing this, so with that smaller number, you just wanna make sure that here's well over.
John, right?
Yeah, well, the choice here for us is to decide which is the higher priority. to absolutely reduce the legal exposure of the Conservation Authority in these hearings, or to maintain the decision-making power in the individual members to be there or not. It's great to have individuals decide for themselves, but collectively as a board, our fiduciary responsibility is to reduce the exposure of the organization. And so, no matter who is involved, I would rather have the organization protected with a clause like this, rather than rely upon personal judgment of individual members, no matter who they are. So my fiduciary responsibility, I think, is to the organization. So I approve of this clause because it protects the organization from legal exposure. And the issue of whether or not individual members make a decision or not, I think is, in my opinion, of secondary importance. So that's my opinion on this.
Thank you for sharing that. Any other comments or questions? Steve, is your hand up or?
No, I agree with John. I think he's absolutely right.
Okay.
I'd rather listen to a lawyer, to be honest with you.
Terry?
I have to follow that. What specific clause are we talking about?
So in under 3.1, page 8, it's clause A, where no member of the SCRCA taking part in the hearing should have prior involvement with the application or other hearing matter indicated. And then it comments that where a member is a municipal councillor, the municipal conflict of interest act applies. So that paragraph there.
So if I'm understanding, they're almost saying, if you're from that municipality, you should not be, you should declare a conflict.
Correct. Regardless of your knowledge of the issue or the people, that because it's in your community, you should declare it.
And I would have I mean, if that is true, then we would not. I mean, if that is a scenario you're supposed to abide by, then anytime a rezoning came up in any of our municipalities, everybody on council should step out because they're not municipal. So
No,
I don't see how that, because we're sitting here we are sitting here as part of the Conservation Authority. We are not, and although we are appointed by our municipality, we are still here as part of the Conservation Authority. So I think that should not be a consideration. I mean, it's up to the individual to decide, you know, it have to be the next door neighbor or something like that, maybe. But, you know, I mean, there are, in each municipality, you know, there's a lot of pieces of property. And we've already whittled down the board participation on this board, on this hearing board. So, you know, I don't think that in itself, the fact that it's in your municipality should have anything to do.
Can I do it?
You
You know,
feel,
like, that's why we're having this discussion. It's entirely up to you whether we conclude that. If it's a huge sticking point, we can eliminate that sentence. It's just something, in talking with Conservation Ontario and their representation, we felt it was the best thing that they are. So some CAs have it, some CAs don't. Strictly the discretion of this group.
So that's good to know that some see how you needed it, yeah, based on feedback from their board.
So just to clarify, you just clarified for Terry that it was number A, which I see, but also if we're talking about some things in there, like Kristen has mentioned, it says therefore no board members, right in the main heading, no board member shall participate as a member of the hearing committee in a matter that involves their municipality's interest or an application by a proponent in their municipality. So basically, forget item A.
Yes, yeah.
Because in the main thing, if something comes here from Middlesex Center, boom, I'm not allowed to
But
come.
that's the sentence we're discussing, is
Yeah.
whether we.
Oh, you
include
just
that.
said it.
I refer to
So he meant A, but he meant the first.
Oh,
paragraph.
okay. Well,
I-
yeah, okay, so I agree with what John said, but at the same time, if something came here from my municipality and I didn't even know anything about it, just the fact that I'm from my municipality, immediately out on it. So I think that I think there's two sides to it. Yes, we're representing the Conservation Authority, but at the same time, it says if their interest for an application, you know, it involves their municipality's interests. So if it's, I don't know. I'm on the fence with Kristen and with what John said, because I don't want to be automatically out. Who's to say that I couldn't offer something of value to it, like, oh, well, that place has you know what I mean? That's like saying that any thing that comes to council that's in my ward, I can't be involved in. So I'm torn on this.
The hearing is a quasi judicial body.
Yeah.
It's not a political body. Like a municipal meeting. It's a different animal.
Yeah.
And I think we have to acknowledge that. I don't think we should conflate a council meeting or a zoning meeting with this. This is a different thing. And I think that, you know, we were about, you know, reducing our exposure here. As municipal councillor, if I'm left out of this quasi judicial body, I will get my opportunity to speak at municipal council. And that council, if it wishes, can use an appeal process, a legal process, to challenge the decision of a quasi judicial body. This is not political, this is legal. And I think we have to understand our political process that we use our municipal councils is one thing. This is a different thing. And if our lawyers are saying in a legal matter that we should recuse ourselves or be recused automatically, that's in the best interest of this organization. And we sit here as directors of this organization's capital. And in good faith for the director here, I think the correct decision is to value legally protecting this body that we're members of. If as a municipal councillor, I'm eliminated from this hearing and I disagree violently with what goes on, I can make that case at my council. And if I get a majority of people to agree with me, then we can take legal action at that point. As a political body, we can decide to do that. So again, I feel strongly that, you know, the division of loyalties that we have when we sit at boards. I mean, right here, we're protecting this body.
Yeah.
And it's our, I think it's our responsibility as directors to make that decision. And we have recourse through the political system as councillors to challenge any legal decision that comes out of this if we can rally the majority at our council. And that's a political process. But quasi judicial bodies, that's legal and it's a different animal. That's my opinion.
Yeah, fair. Any other comments on this? Any online comments? No, we're good up there. Okay, Terry?
Well,
Closing comment?
what is necessary to take that clause out of 3.1?
Well, the motion is to approve the draft hearing guideline. We can call a vote. If the approval of it fails, then we bring forth a motion to remove it.
Don't you normally have amendments?
Yeah, we can.
I can accept that, we should vote on this as it is, and if it gets turned down, then we make the adjustments.
That's my
Yep.
thought. We would just vote on it now.
It's moved and seconded.
It's moved and seconded on the floor.
Sort of.
Yeah. So you could throw an amendment out if the mover and seconder want to accept it, but
Mr. Chair, could we not, we could still do an amendment, could we not? Even though there's a move and second, we could still do an amendment.
we could if the mover and seconder are in favor.
I would move an amendment to that clause, starting with the word therefore. No board member. That sentence be removed.
Okay, and the mover and seconder, who's that?
Ian Bean and
I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm fine the way it is, because when you look at C, it says the party will be given the opportunity to attend the hearing before the decision is made. However, the party does not have to be present for the decision to be made. So regardless, and this is just a guideline, I don't see where the problem is myself, so.
Okay. And Sue, if Ian's you said you're not supporting the amendment.
Yeah, I think I'm not gonna support it either. John makes some very valid points, and so.
Okay, so the amendment failed, so.
No, you have to have a vote.
Oh, okay, okay,
If there's I'm moving, it's not over to the seconder, Whether there's a second, there's like any other motion.
Okay, I
It
apologize.
gets voted on by as
Do a second.
itself.
Okay, so you need a seconder then.
I'll second it, to put on the floor for discussion.
Thank you, Brad. So it is seconded, so then it's on the floor, go into.
In terms of the debate on it, I would say, I don't see why this is any different than anything we do at our own councils with regards to hearings as a board. And that would be like rezoning, for example, to me is almost identical to what we're doing here. And we do it regularly in every municipality, and the council members have to. Or not have to participate if they feel they personally have a conflict. But this is what we're doing as a hearing board, this is part of our duties, is to hear these things, and you can't say you have an automatic conflict of interest. Just because it's your son, I mean, I don't even know, that sounds absolutely silly to me. Because we are a member of a board of a organization that has many municipalities in it. And you might just as easily, you might know the person that's advancing it who lives in another municipality. And just because you know them doesn't mean you have a conflict even. So why would that, for example, if someone from Petrolia brought forward something, I may know that person. But that doesn't mean I have a conflict, it's up to the individuals to declare a conflict. I don't think it should be in here where the members are automatically saying, oh, you have a conflict. That's not the role of the board, it's the role of the member to declare when they have a conflict, and that's the whole Conflict of Interest Act is, the individual has to declare if they have a conflict. So I don't think that clause should be in there.
Okay, thank you. So comment on the amendment, Ian, did you?
Well, the way I'm reading it is totally different, I guess. You're talking about somebody from Troy or whatever, but it doesn't matter. Say Brad's got a conflict and I'm the one sitting on the board. Just because we know each other doesn't mean that I have a conflict, so I think it's fine the way it is, but that's just me.
Any other comments on the amendment, this portion of this?
Yeah, I'm
Yep, right.
kind of torn, but I can see Terry's point. I think it is a personal thing. It's up to the individual to personally decide, do I have a conflict? And the old saying is if in doubt, declare, but I too, I understand Terry's saying, when it comes to council, for anything that we do, council has to deal with all kinds of planning issues. So I can support it. I think it's a personal thing, so I will support the amendment.
Okay, thanks, Sue.
So just to, as I kind of review this, so when we go up to the, review it again. When we go up to the main paragraph, it's saying, therefore, no board member, so you're out. If it's from your municipality, you're out, is how I take this to be read. But if you then go on to A, it says where a member has a personal interest, the test is whether it's, so you're already gonna declare. So if you're there from your municipality and you have a personal interest in this, then you're gonna declare it as you would at a council meeting as well. So in a sense, we've got two different things. If you're automatically out, then why do you even need number A? That's how I'm seeing this now. The third thing that I wanted to say was that we've done this before where we've had a lawyer write something and then maybe it's a letter or, we've done this in the past, but then all of a sudden we're going, oh no, we should change that, we should change this, we should change that. But meanwhile, the lawyer wrote it. So I don't know if that applies here. The fact that you said some conservation authorities have this, some don't, leaves me again, I'm back on the fence. I just wanted to point out that you're out in one and then down below in the second one, it says that you need to, if you have a personal interest, which is more how it should be, I think.
John?
I think A includes, those members in the hearing who might not be from that municipality and would not be automatically excluded. And whereas the, governing piece at the top, deals with the, perception that there would be a bias if the person was from the same municipality. I have faith in my fellow directors that if there's something going on in Stratford, Caradoc, and I'm automatically removed from it, that they will, in a quasi judicial manner, come up with an unbiased and true judgment. If I disagree with it, I have a political option to challenge it. I also think A is necessary because any of the members on that hearing who might have a business association but live in a different jurisdiction, they would have to declare.
Right.
So I have faith in my fellow directors to make a sound decision at the hearing on a Stratford Caradoc matter, with me and Frank being absent. And I believe that also their integrity would be that if they're from Middlesex Center and it's in Stratford Caradoc, they would eliminate themselves under A. So I think both are necessary. From a legal point of view, to protect the organization so that a lawyer hired by an aggressive claimant will not be able to overturn or tie us up in a lot of legal mumbo jumbo because of what they claim is a bias. So that's my statement. I would like to call the vote on the amendment.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, this has nothing to do with an inability of your cohorts or whether it's in your jurisdiction or not in your jurisdiction. This has to do with the democratic process and a fair and legal system. Just as we have judges living in their own jurisdiction, passing judgment on people in their own jurisdiction. This is no different. This is more about a democratic process and the fairness of the system and what's already been established through provincial legislation. So aside from all the personalness of a previous hearing, which makes it completely awkward for me, and it's really sad that had to come to light, but it has nothing to do with any of that for me. It's just about the democratic process and the fairness of judicial process, regardless.
Okay, thank you. So we'll call the vote on the amendment, which is to remove the section from therefore on. So we're looking for those that are opposed to the removal of that. No, you want to call, I'll call in favor. So those are in favor of the amendment.
Those in favor of removing.
Yes, yeah, the amendment is to remove it. So those that are in favor of removing. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that correct? 4 in the room, 2 online. And then we have 16 members, so that fails. The amendment fails. Okay, so now we'll vote back on the motion, which is.
But you should call those, the other side of it. You call for favor, you should call for those against.
Okay. And those opposed? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so 7.4 as we have it is to approve the draft SCRC hearing. So we'll call that as well the same way. All in favor of that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 in favor. All those opposed? 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay, so that's carried. Thank you.
No, sorry, I just like that thing. I do want to apologize to the vice chair. I didn't disparage her or cause any questions of her ability to serve in this position. That was not my intent with my comment. I was just trying to use that as an example, for example, but as an example of what will happen from an outside perspective for the apprehension of bias. So I apologize. I just like the public agree. I apologize.
Okay, so 7.5 is our agricultural lease tender. The motion is that the board of directors acknowledge and receive for information the report dated September 3rd regarding the results of the 2026 and 2030 agricultural lease tender. Remover. Diane and Frank. Any discussion? Yeah, go ahead,
I
Fran.
guess the couple pieces where there is no bid on, what's the plan, for those pieces?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's a great question, Mr. Dennis. I'm going to be trying to seek someone to, lease those lands. So we didn't have any tenders, as well, where you can see where there's, one bid of the three, that means there's only one bid, so. Yeah. Commodities are down, inputs are up. That's the nature of the beast. So yeah, I will certainly be reaching out to some individuals to see the rest of that stuff leased in.
Okay, and I second, just on average, what's the decrease in the bid price, or the highest bid compared to what we're getting for the land now? If you can give a general overall percent, like 10%, 20%.
It's probably in the 20 to 30%. As mentioned previously, the one tenant we had for the 2020-2025 leases were extended and overbid. So that kind of skewed the last 5 years worth of revenue for leases because it was not a realistic price. However, that's the price we used for 4 years and it's used, but we're probably down 30%.
Don, go ahead.
Yeah, as far as I can see here, you got some damn good payments coming in, these rates. I think, some of these guys are still in the overbid position for today's economy. Is there gonna be flexibility, during this 5-year lease period to, revisit this with total collapse of the system? Because, $227 and $195, for non-tile land and demands of crop rotation are a tad, 180. You can't, you're gonna get wheat in this year because it's so dry, but that's also an issue of it's so dry. And my second question is, what is the quality of those haylands? Has there ever been fertilizer put down there? Has there ever been a reseeding of that hayland to higher quality forage? Might require some matters or some preparation or correction of those lands before they're gonna be worthy of somebody else taking on rent when there's nothing there to be, nothing worthy.
Through you, Mr. Chair, absolutely, Mr. McKay. So we did address within the new lease that there is no termination clause for the landowner. That's the bid they did, that's the bid we're expecting every year for 5 years. That being said, there is always that communication factor that we work with the tenants. I stress that very much with the tenants. Understanding that weather and crops and things, you know, we're asking them to show us their crop rotation, but absolutely last fall was an anomaly. Everyone got their wheat in, everyone had pretty good wheat this year. That's not always the case. So when they're gonna deviate, they're gonna give me a call and say, look, we just couldn't get the wheat in, we're supposed to have wheat next year. We're gonna go back to beans and then we're gonna do wheat the year after. So we're looking for that no more than 2 to 3 years of the same crop. So that is giving some leeway where we can at least in 1 of the 5 years be able to get that one rotation. You know, they may be looking at it, you know, beans, wheat, beans. But if that deviates because of weather and unforeseen circumstances, then we can certainly adjust and hopefully get wheat in at least in 1 of the 5-year rotations. When it comes to the hay ground, absolutely, it has had very little inputs. So I will be discussing that, and again, probably looking at a little bit of a reduction in rent. so that someone would take it on and potentially do inputs, do some overseeding and get that back to a better quality hay ground. One of the challenges we do have on that is it is along the McHugh upstream, the channel in the berm area. And we have a lot of ATV issues there that we've had forever. So people are hesitant to do any work there and then have ATVs rip right through their new seeding and the inputs they did, so. Challenges with that land, and certainly because no one did that is a reflection of the quality of that, so. Gonna be reaching out to a few farm contacts that I have and see, you know, look, can you do inputs and maybe harvest it for nothing this year, and then we look at how successful the catch and inputs were, and maybe we start looking at some.
Thank you for that input. I do note that, I'm not a beef farmer anymore. Sometimes the issue of worrying about bubbling takes the hay past the point of quality, which is an issue. And possibly there's, I trust your instincts on moving with your own contacts, but maybe there's an opportunity to work with the Cattlemen's Association to help with that reseeding and look to other avenues to get guys started, because we all know what the price of beef is in the grocery store, but again, the reality is that there's no mum cows out there to increase herd numbers, so the only people really making money right now is not the grocery store. They're the second ones that let their hands out to the largest. People who are making money right now are the packers. So the issue the issue of revisiting some of these rents, I think, is gonna become a reality, because when you're looking at wheat, you gotta have essentially 90 bushel the acre now to barely come close to breaking even. Simple math, 100 bushel the acre wheat crop, which is 5 years ago would have been top shelf and first in line at the coffee shop, is now gotta be normal, because $6 a bushel when you sell it. The seed alone is now over $100 an acre. You still gotta protect it with the certain amendments of down the road, and then on top of that, fertilizer and nitrogen, especially when you're growing wheat, that's gone nuts. So there's no money here unless somebody's figured out there's a gold mine underneath some of that dirt that was digging out on the. So, thank you.
Yes. So the motion is to receive information to report. Anyone opposed? Is that a proposal? Opposed? No. Okay,
No.
Did question or state comment?
No,
No, okay,
I'm
yeah.
vote in favor.
Okay, yeah, okay, so that's carried. 7.6 is the disposal of assets. The board acknowledged the report dated September 9th regarding disposal of assets. And further approves the disposal of the assets listed from the fleet inventory. Newber, Frank, and Terry is the seconder. Sorry, I'll get you next time. Anyone opposed to that? Seeing none, that's carried. Agenda item 8 are the information items. From mover that the board approved consent agenda and it receives the accompanying items 8.1A through 8.1K as information. Moved by Adam Kilner, seconded by Betty Ann. Is there any item in there that you'd like to discuss, Sue?
Thank you. I'm just wondering, I see that Greg is not here. I'm just wondering about the dam decommissioning update. I wondered, the report was from June, and I'm just wondering if there's been any progress with the grant, or in secondary, I wondered if they had sent an update to Middlesex and Strathroy, or what's on the report.
So, Mr. Chair, there's no updates since that report was done. in terms of any potential like WECI funding, for example. WECI's now on a 2-year cycle, so there won't be any applications for that, so into the next year, I believe. But we are.
So if that's the case, then. The 2-year cycle, so you wouldn't even be applying until 2026. I'm just wondering then about the funds, is the funds in here for each municipality? Oh, you're just calling it year one.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily need to be in the 2026 budget. Good to know, thank you.
See? Any other items? In 8, discussed, Karen, Carol?
Excuse me, yes, 8.18, which is the general levy update, it shows. It's on page 112. It shows, Sarn, you haven't paid anything yet this year, the business. We were having some problems, we had changed treasurers and something on our track, but anyways, we have paid over 450,000 of that. And the rest of it will be paid shortly, and council has passed a new motion to reinforce our traditional paying it 4 times a year based upon our residential date of installments, so everything should be paid each year by the 1st of October. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, we'll have our treasurer send a check to.
Well, I better do the same, because I just know that my roads are standing as well, so I didn't have standing more reason, just not paying the bills. Right?
Totally different matter, but just the reports on various property things that being worked out. Just wondering in terms of volume of property matters, is that yeah, is it comparable to previous years, or is it still down? Just trying to get a feel for the whole building world, whether life is busy or not.
Through you, Mr. Chair. We're about on par with what we were last year for planning and regulations, rights and applications. Where we're seeing the slowdown is, last year we had a big uptick for fiber permits. There was a big push for fiber lines all across our watershed. So we had a huge uptick in permits for all of those crossings. But this year we're about on par where we showed.
And Don McCabe?
Thank you. A general question around 8.1B, the current watershed conditions, the issue of essentially keeping some heat on Environment Climate Change Canada to expand its weather station network. And the reason I'm still beating this drum is that yes, this is sarcasm, but I would have required, I think, 14 rain gauges on the same 100-acre field to attempt to realize where the rain had fallen. And of course, it fell at the back on the frickin' trees that I don't care about. And gunfall on the good land plentifully. But it's just the issue of being able to handle reaction times for flooding conditions, because I know that sometimes when I roll into Petrolia, there's a bunch of ugly people there because the fire truck had to move. And it didn't rain in Petrolia, so why did that happen? So it's the above that, and it's the issue of getting better response times, and there's more than enough weather stations, I believe, now out there, because with the larger corporate interests in the seed business, especially, they offer these additions because again, they're overcharging you for the seed in the first place. They got to do something with the extra money. But just an issue of, is there any way of getting a more comprehensive station system in place and, just remind Environment Climate Change Canada that the variability that comes from climate change means that there's a heck of a variation in volumes that can occur, and that's why I threw in the 14, rain gauge, comment, because, you can see tremendous changes. And I would, I have no proof of this, of course, but I can tell you, the back of my farm, when I went for a walk that day, looked like it had gotten a 3-inch rain in the front place. I hadn't gotten a drop. And I was there that day and it was wonderfully black and back, but it's just one example. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other items in 8 for discussion or clarification? No, okay. So, anybody opposed to approve the consent or receive the accounting items? Seeing none, okay, so we can move on. Item 9.1 is a letter from Plimpton, Wyoming, re the Maple Wood lot. We have a motion to receive for information that correspondence. Mover, Gary Burrow, Steve Miller. Any questions, comments on that? Okay, seeing none, anyone opposed? Okay, that motion is carried. 9.2 is a letter from Chatham, Kent, read the 2026 budget. We also have a motion to receive for information that correspondence. Mover, Ian, and Brad.
Just a comment.
Yeah.
If you're right,
Do you want to still second it?
no, it's someone else.
Okay, Terry? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, will we still send the information as they requested? They request some information here to send.
Yeah, we will send whatever they're required. We have put together previously a multi-year forecast for them.
Okay.
So that's been submitted to them. This is an annual letter we get from Chatham.
Thank you.
We opposed? Okay, that is carried. We'll now move to go on camera. And you mover, go on camera, and there's been we have a legal update and there's a new property matter that we're going to discuss in camera. So motion by Councilor Brown White.